they are the great composers I speak of, you see. But what happened to me is something quite strange, which I observed very often, you see. I observed the fact that I come on the stage for a concert as representation, as picture of what happens on the stage. It is rather ridiculous because a fat little man like me appearing there in an evening dress looks like an undertaker, funeral thing, and the piano has a little look of a coffin, if you like to know. Well, and the public fills the hall, let's say. They come after a good dinner. The women look at each other, at other women's dresses. Men think mostly about business or some games or some sports or God knows what. And there I have this crowd, not entirely quite musical, not really knowers of music, but who like music, who love music. And that is a very difficult proposition. I have to hold them, in attention by my emotion, nothing else. I can't look at them, I can't make faces, I can't tell them, now comes the great moment, now you listen, now it's a great thing for you, ha 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 ha. Nothing of the kind, I have to play. Look there straight in front of me. But there is a certain antenna, there is a certain secret thing, there is a thing which goes out, emanates from me, from my emotion, not from me, from my emotion, from the feeling. You like to call it soul if you like to. I don't know what soul means, but it's a word which one uses very much, without knowing what it represents really. But this something, which let me call it for the moment soul if you like, projects something which I do feel that it is doing it. It suddenly puts the audience into my hands. There's a moment where I feel them all here. I can do anything. I can hold them with one little note in the air, and they will not breathe because they wait what happens next, what will come in the music. That is a great, great moment. Not always does it happen, but when it does happen, it is a great moment of our lives.
You've said, or you've written, that when you are playing, it is like making love. And I wonder how literally you meant that. How do you mean it?
Well, I must say, I always had a sensual, not sensual, but sensual feeling of my fingers when I have to strike something which goes out of my inner self, When I have to sing out the Nocturne of Chopin, I sing it inside, but I sing it like a love song, you see, and then under my fingers, I feel what you said, I feel a rather sensual pleasure, in touching it. I become excited when I touch an E flat, which will give that sound which I need to hear. That too.
Would you explain to me, in very simple terms, as someone who is not a musician, how you produce the tone that you do?
I can tell you that. I learned from a Czechoslovakian singer who was very famous in times, who sang with Caruso and all times, my young years. It was Emmy Destin. Emmy Destin struck me when she sang with a marvelous, marvelous voice, which just acted on me sensually, which made me cry by the sheer voice, the sheer sound of voice, sometimes the sound itself, not the melody or the composition, but the quality of the voice does something to me, and she had that. And she had, of course, as all singers, to take her breath at the right moment. We have to take, in a way, our breath at the right moment when we speak. To make a phrase clear, we have to make that little stop and cut the phrase into the pieces which make sense, isn't it so?
Yes.
But that thing came to me, this idea when she sang. I started suddenly to feeling and I have to take breath at the piano. I sometimes press my finger on it only, which means nothing, because there is the hammer, percussion hammer. Nothing can change much in the piano. It's a percussion instrument, isn't it? But it has a vibration. When you let the string stay without letting the hammer down on it, it vibrates in the air. You have the pedal to keep it a long while if you want to, if you can. And there is a certain pressure which makes it being struck in a certain way, not hard, but just the way you want, and it sinks in you. Well, I found that for myself. And I couldn't teach that for any money in the world. I tell the young people, sing inside. You have no voice, that doesn't matter. You have the best voice if you feel singing in you.
You've always enjoyed and wanted to play composers who were regarded by your teachers or your peers as perhaps too avant-garde or too modern.
You say that I was always on the avant-garde. That is not quite the term I would use. You know, when I was young, I was like all the young, enthusiastic for what is new. I fought for them. I fought for Debussy, for Ravel, for Szymanowski, for Stravinsky, for Prokofiev. They were the people of my young life. Later now, the avant-garde of today is good for the young, not for me. I'm absolutely in the dark. I don't understand at all what they mean. I think that we have no right to judge what we do not understand. I can judge only something which I understand very, very well. Then I can give you the point why, I can fight my point and everything. But what can I say about music of those men like Stockhausen or Boulez, which make noises which are for me incomprehensible, sometimes impress me loud enough or long enough or short enough. I see the actual things which I hear, but do not understand at all that language.
You've often said that you are the happiest man you know. I think people would be very interested to know what are the springs of that happiness.
My happiness came, a feeling of that happiness, the conscience of that, came right after an attempt to take my life. I wanted to commit suicide at the ripe age of 20, because I arrived at a sort of 0 hour, I may call it like that. You know, there was nothing for me. I was stuck in Berlin on my way to Paris. I couldn't get there because I had no money. I promised to come back with some money and then give concerts again. I couldn't afford it anymore. I was in a hotel in Berlin, which after a few weeks I couldn't pay anymore for my room. The woman I loved very much, who was married and promised to divorce, and marry we didn't, and broke up with me. I didn't dare to speak about it to my parents, because I was completely cut off from them. Nobody knew where I was. Well, I tried to commit suicide, and I still didn't live. It didn't go. Some things I tried to hang myself with broke, and I fell on the floor, and then I was unhappy, then I played the piano, then I was very hungry, and when I walked into the street, I was born again in a way, you know. I was giving up my life, and then I came back to it. But this coming back was a very strange one, because I suddenly realized quite clearly what a fool I was before. That life is not at all depending on things like not paying a hotel, or like a woman who might leave you, or like with the career being stopped. Life is what it gives you. It's in front of you.
Do you believe in God?
Of course I believe, but my God is not a gentleman with a beard. It is a power. It is an incredibly extraordinary power. I was preoccupied all my life, but I still am, with the one question which matters. One single question matters. What are we here for? who made it, who started it. Nobody has ever had a glimpse and the slightest idea why it started. It started with laws of religion. They right away were dominating us. They were governing us. They were telling us this is right, this is wrong. You must believe in this, you must believe in God. I'm glad to believe, but there must be a sign too. There must be something to show us why and what. Well, you cannot say that an earthquake which kills thousands of people, children, wives and so on, is a thing which God made for the good of humanity. Somebody asked me the other day, do you believe in a life after your death? It was a very plausible question. I said, I do not think I don't believe in it. But if there is a life after our death, of course I will be delighted. It would be a wonderful thing. But if I believe there is a life and found that there is nothing, and I'm simply a crushed animal because I had it, my life is over altogether, but I would be very disappointed if I could express it that way. In any case, I think that my consideration is not too wrong. I mean, I think there's something in it, don't you think? Well, that is my conception. But as I come to the moment where I believe that what we really have got, what we have gotten, what is ours, is what we have, life. People who think that happiness is to laugh all the time and to enjoy a good cutlet of beefsteak, and go to bed nicely and so on, and smile and win at the game, or something like that. This is stupid. It is stupid. There's nothing in it. That wants a contrast, they don't enjoy it. But I don't know that's not life. Life is bite into it, to take absolutely as it is.
Can I ask you this? What emotion do you feel when you contemplate that death is going to extinguish so rare a machine as you are, a computer with so much heart and so crammed with music and experience? What do you feel?
I didn't give it much thought. There is such a thing which I do believe. There's a word which I feel it not ever clear to anybody. We use in every language the word soul easily. L'âme in French. Every language uses it. And we don't know what it is really, where to place it. And I think this thing is in us, the metaphysical power somehow, which just emanates. I feel that always, as I told you before, in my concerts. We don't give it much thought, but there is something floating, there is something unknown around us in there, that is. And I think that has no place to disappear. So after our death, if we had an amount of it in us somewhere or something, it's around. I remember once on a very rainy day in London, the great singer, Emmy Destin, asked me very, well, let's say innocently, how did Chopin play? Well, of course I didn't hear Chopin play at all and so on, so I can only imagine something. I was just going to tell her, oh look here, they would ask me such silly questions. But by some instinct I went to the piano, and played a little piece of Chopin that I never played in concerts. And it was me who played. I played that piece through, and we both were getting a little pain, I wasn't playing it myself, I felt that. I wouldn't have played it like that. Make what you want of it, I give it just as a moment of my life. Well, that's it.
We're also going to hear you play the Saint-Saëns G minor concerto, which you've described in the past as your war horse. Could you tell us what you feel about that piece of music?
Well, it was my war horse. I will tell you, it was the very first